Looking for a good phone to buy that won't break the bank? In this video, we've looked at some of the best mid-range phones you can buy in the UK at the moment, and we've also explained the differences between them, so you can choose the right phone to buy. Before we get started, if you're shopping for a phone, make sure to come to greensmartphones.com to find the best deals on the market at the moment. Just come to our comparison site, linked in the description, and click on a phone you want to buy. Then you'll be able to compare the cheapest prices from all of the major networks, no matter how much data or storage you want to use, or which network you want to buy from. Currently, you can get the Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus for about £33 per month, and this is really good value given what this phone offers. So I've just come to the S24 Plus on greensmartphones.com and scroll down to the specs down here. You get a nice big screen with this phone, with a good pixel density and a 120Hz refresh rate, ensuring things feel nice and smooth. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is a pretty fast chip, and also a nice camera setup, as you'd expect from Samsung. There's nothing that particularly stands out as amazingly impressive in these specs, but this phone is a really good all-rounder in that sort of upper mid-range category. It's not the cheapest mid-range phone on the market, but if you pay this amount, you'll get a heap of data, and the contract is only 24 months long, not 36, like a lot of other phone contracts are. And you'll also get 256 gigs of storage, since there's no 128 gig version of this phone. If you want something on the cheaper end of the mid-range, the Google Pixel 8a is worth looking at. You can get it for less than £18 a month at the moment, with 100GB of monthly data, although that's only for the 128GB version. So let's see what it costs if you want 256GB of storage. Okay, you'll pay about £2 extra per month, which isn't too unreasonable really. Despite being a cut price version of the Pixel 8, this phone still has a really good screen, including a nice 120Hz refresh rate, and pretty good camera performance. Nearly all Google Pixel phones perform really well when it comes to taking photos, in large part thanks to the software that Google crams into them. And on their cheaper A-series phones, the cameras are still really good. Even the camera specs are pretty similar between the Pixel 8a and the Pixel 8, and you still get Google's Tensor G2 chip, making this phone really good in terms of day-to-day performance. The only thing we wouldn't do with it is play a lot of graphically intensive games. For that, you might need something a bit more expensive. In between the two phones we've looked at so far, in terms of pricing, is the Honor 200 Pro. It's about £24 per month at the moment, on 3, and they'll give you 150GB of monthly data for the 512GB version of the phone. Given what it costs, this is a decent sized phone with a good sized screen, and a pretty fast chip as well. So why is Honor able to price this phone so cheaply? Part of the reason is it only has an IP65 rating. If we compare to the Pixel 8, it has IP68, meaning it's dustproof and waterproof up to 1.5 meters in water for 30 minutes, while the Honor 200 Pro is only dust and water resistant, so it's probably not a good idea to submerge it in water. Also, the bezels on the screen are a bit bigger than some other phones at this price point, but it still comes with a pretty good camera and performs really well overall. The one thing we'll say about Honor is because they're a bit of a less popular brand, their phones tend to go in and out of stock quite a lot. So if you like the look of this phone, but it's not available when you're watching this, come to the Honor page on greensmartphones.com and see if they're offering any other devices in that price point at the moment. Currently, the Honor 200 Pro and the Honor 200 are the only ones in that sort of mid-range £20 to £30 a month price point. But by the time you're watching this, the price of the Magic 6 Pro or other handsets here might have come down a bit. Samsung is often a really good choice for mid-range phones. In terms of value for money, they're often really hard to beat, and that's especially the case with the Galaxy A55. It costs less than £20 a month on a nice short-term 24-month contract, and still comes with heaps of really good specs that you'd expect to find on Samsung's more expensive devices. For example, you still get a 120Hz refresh rate and a pretty decent camera setup, not to mention a nice long battery life. The storage is a bit limited, but you can choose to add a microSD card if you want to, which isn't possible on most of Samsung's flagship phones at the moment. The only real downside to the A-series phones compared to the S-series ones is the materials aren't quite as premium. There's a bit more plastic instead of glass or metal, so the phone doesn't feel quite as nice to hold. But for most people, this isn't a problem. We'll also flag, if the A55 is a bit expensive, the A35 is also worth looking at. It's actually bigger than the A55 at 6.6 instead of 6.4 inches, but it's cheaper and is a bit less powerful, for example, coming with less RAM. After they've been out for a while, Nothing's phones normally fall into that mid-range price bracket of around £20 per month or so. As you can see here, that's what's happened to the Nothing Phone 2. £22 a month for 50 gigs of data, on a 24-month contract from Carphone Warehouse. And if you don't want the 128GB version, you can pay about £3 per month more for the model with double the storage. This is a decent sized phone with a good screen and a 120Hz refresh rate, as well as a pretty good camera setup. It's not the most powerful, using a bit of an outdated chip at the moment, and it doesn't have an IP68 rating, meaning it's only splash resistant and isn't rated for submersion in water or dust. The only thing about Nothing is, their devices are a bit unique. They have their own flavour of Android, which is a bit different to what you'll find with Samsung or Google, and they also have these lights on the back of the phone that you can customize to illuminate based on different things that happen. For example, you can set this up to go off when your phone rings, or you might want it to strobe when you have an active notification. It's nothing game breaking, but these quirks are worth considering before buying a Nothing phone. So thanks for watching, and remember, click the link in the description to come to greensmartphones.com. If you want to save money when buying a new phone, just click on a manufacturer you want to buy from, then click through to the phone to see the best prices on the market at the moment. And if you have any questions about shopping for a new phone, leave a comment below and we'll respond as soon as we can.